Broly is not evil. That's right. So the talk all week since trailer 3 of Dragon Ball Super Broly, well, one of the talks has been the discussion about whether or not this version of Broly in the new movie that Toriyama has rewritten and recreated is going to be quote unquote evil, because there's a line in the trailer where Goku says, "I'm not sensing evil from you. You don't seem like an evil guy," or something like that. I don't actually have the line in front of me, but you know what I'm talking about. It was in trailer 3. And now we have an interview on the official Dragon Ball News website from the man himself. This is Bin Shimada, the voice of Broly, and also the voice of Dispo from the Pride Troopers in Dragon Ball Super. But he's been voicing Broly since the original 3 Broly movies from back in the day, and he also voices Broly in all the video games. But he pretty much says here in this interview, and credit to Herms for the translation, he says in this interview that Broly is Goku's enemy in the movie, but he's definitely not evil, and as a result of that, Shimada considers this role to be a little bit difficult because he has to portray the same kind of energy and the same kind of rage that the old Broly had, but he also has to play a more subdued Broly. And the same thing's going to go for Vic Mignogna when he does the English dub of this film. Now, in this interview, he talks about how surprised Shimada was when he found out that Broly was coming back after 25 years of not being in a movie. And he says that he wasn't really expecting to get this role, even though he worked on Super. But he's eager, but also uneasy to see, how to play this character. And he talks about how one of the problems he ran into was that Broly, even though Broly is the same age, essentially, as before, even though he's probably a little bit older. I mean, he is older because, the Super movies, or this Super movie in the timeline would theoretically happen. And it's hard to explain this because the old movies don't go with the original, anime or manga. But let's say, for intents and purposes, in the timeline, this Broly, if he's born at the same time as the old Broly, if they're two alternate universes, this Broly is older, but Shimada's way older. Shimada's 25 years older, and Nagamine actually told him to sound younger in this film. Try to sound younger. And he saw, because if you listen to Dispo, Dispo does sound like a little bit older. His voice for Dispo is not the same as the voice for Broly. And he once again talks about how, the role is still tricky because Broly is very callous. He doesn't really have a lot of emotion. But of course, when he rages out, it's a different story. But that being said, he has to play an emotionless character. But he says the movie's pretty much one battle after another, with Broly getting stronger as he fights. That we already knew. I mean, that shouldn't be a surprise. He said that Saiyans never get tired, but Shimada himself did. So, and that's how it is when you're a voice actor. He even talks about how he hyperventilated. He almost hyperventilated when he was recording the intense battle. In other words, he almost, he was breathing hard. I really hope that someday they release they actually put out the recording sessions for both the dub and the sub, because I would love to see how these guys handle all this screaming. They've done it before for Battle of Gods and Resurrection F. The dub did it, so I'm hoping maybe the Japanese will do it this time. I hope so. We've seen clips. I want to see the whole session of this guy screaming. He talks about how Nozawa is still as pure-minded as she used to be to play Goku 25 years ago, and that she's a legend, and he did his best to keep up with her. And he says that next week it's going to be next week's interview on this website is going to be a major player, somebody who's that person at last. So it could be Vegeta or Goku's voice actor, not Masako Nozawa or Ryo Horikawa. So that's pretty much that. So essentially, to wrap this up, Broly is not evil, and that's going to, of course, lend itself to a lot of people saying, is Broly going to turn good? Is he going to join the Z Fighters, or whatever you want to call them, the Super Fighters? I don't even know what you call them now. I guess they still would be Z Fighters. But it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen with Broly in the future, because this is a different take on the character. He's not an inherently bad person like the old Broly. And I've actually had fans, Dragon Ball fans, try to tell me that the old Broly, way before this movie was even announced, that the old Broly was actually a good guy. And he wasn't. He was an evil bastard. Remember, he blew up Planet Shamo and laughed about it and said, "No, I'm the devil." Broly was not a good person, okay? This Broly, on the other hand, is not evil. That Broly definitely was evil. He was definitely a prick. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm guessing that maybe Paragus might be the guy who's really kind of the problem here. when it comes to Broly. You know, he might be the guy who's influencing Broly to attack Vegeta and to do all these bad things when maybe Broly doesn't really want to. But we'll find out, I'm sure, very soon. Anyways, folks, that's it for this video. I'm going to have some more stuff coming up very soon, including the full synopsis for the film should be out in a few days, so I'll have that here on the channel. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a good one. And let me know in the comments, what do you think? Do you think Broly not being evil is a good thing for the character? Do you like the evolution of the character? Or you don't really care? You prefer the old Broly? Let me know in the comments. Talk to you soon.